Welcome to this crucial video. Today, you are going to discover the singular habit that fundamentally distinguishes the truly powerful from the perpetually weak, separates the wise decision-makers from the eternally confused, and elevates the unstoppable few above the common average. This isn't merely a burst of motivation. Consider this your definitive wake-up call, a comprehensive system, a vital warning, a proven strategy, and an actionable map for success. Day after day, you passively scroll through life, constantly distracted by the endless noise. You watch others achieve success, feeling helplessly stuck in your current position. Yet, every single day, you deliberately neglect the one foundational practice that holds the power to transform everything: the commitment to educating yourself. Let me make this perfectly clear. Your primary enemy is not financial poverty, nor is it failure or even paralyzing fear. Your true enemy is ignorance. It is the state of not knowing the mechanics of wealth creation, not knowing how to spot deception in people, not knowing how to effectively control your anger, manage your time, discipline your thoughts, or process your pain. If you fail to commit to daily self-education, be warned. Life itself will assume the role of your cruel teacher, instructing you through searing pain, crippling debt, profound regret, and painful rejection. You will find yourself repeatedly losing opportunities, damaging crucial relationships, and eroding your self-respect, all direct consequences of your failure to continually seek growth. But here is the undeniable truth. Dedicating just 1 hour a day, a mere 60 minutes, can rapidly elevate you, making you vastly more capable and powerful than the 99% of the population who ceased serious learning the moment they finished school. Throughout this video, I will provide a step-by-step framework detailing exactly how you can establish and maintain this transformative daily habit. I will show you precisely what topics to master, the most effective methods for learning, the ideal time to schedule your study, and how this dedication will irrevocably reshape your entire future trajectory. Furthermore, this content serves as excellent practice for your English proficiency, as the more you engage with these ideas, the more your brain simultaneously absorbs potent concepts and refined language. This is more than mere education. It is total transformation. So, let us dive straight into the brutal truth. If you do not choose to educate yourself proactively, life will eventually force the lesson upon you. Let's begin with radical honesty. The vast majority of people halt their intellectual curiosity the moment they leave the structured environment of school, which is exactly why their lives become permanently stagnant. They attend classes, memorize facts just long enough to pass an exam, promptly forget everything, and then settle in to wait for a good job, a comfortable life, and a secure future. But they overlook a critical distinction. While school provides you with a piece of paper, a degree, it is only dedicated self-education that grants you genuine financial and personal freedom. The modern world is evolving at a breathtaking pace, introducing disruptive new technology, innovative business models, groundbreaking ideas, and complex new societal problems. In contrast, most individuals cling to outdated knowledge, rigid old thinking patterns, and ineffective habits. They lack critical modern literacy. They don't understand the mechanisms of money. They haven't learned the fundamental skill of selling. They are unable to establish clear boundaries by saying no. They cannot control their volatile emotions, and they don't know how to effectively lead, build wealth, or navigate economic survival. What is the inevitable result? Life steps in as the instructor, but it doesn't use helpful books. Life teaches with consequence and pain. You neglected financial literacy, and now you are submerged in debt. You failed to study toxic personalities, and now you are emotionally shattered inside. You avoided learning strategic career building, and now you are 35, perpetually stuck and desperately begging for basic opportunities. You never learned how to cultivate independent thought, so now you simply follow the masses, and the masses are heading toward stagnation. And perhaps the most dangerous element of all is that you have come to accept this struggle as normal. But consider this critical question. Why is it that the top 1% of achievers are relentlessly reading, consistently learning, and aggressively investing in new knowledge? Why do CEOs continue studying deep into their 50s? Why do billionaires dedicate 3 to 4 hours every single day to reading? It is because they fundamentally understand that daily education is not an optional hobby. It is essential for high-level survival and sustained dominance. The financially poor routinely spend their limited hours on entertainment. The wealthy consciously invest their time in education. The average person scrolls aimlessly. The future leader intentionally studies. If you refuse to initiate your self-education immediately, you guarantee that someone else will always dictate your life. Your boss, your mounting debt, your paralyzing fear, or your repeated mistakes. This message is not intended as mere motivation. It is your singular opportunity to escape this pervasive trap. The choice is stark. Commit to learning daily, or remain permanently weak. That is the inescapable truth. Why does daily education construct unshakable power, command automatic respect, and grant you total control? Let me pose a question. Have you encountered an individual who speaks with quiet authority and calm power? Someone who refuses to panic, who possesses the innate ability to always find a solution, and whom others instinctively listen to, respect, and follow? These individuals are not products of luck. They are the direct result of consistent daily education. Here is the transformative process that occurs when you commit to daily learning. First, you feel inherently stronger. The primary reason you experience insecurity, feel lost, or suffer from fear is a lack of preparedness. But as you continuously learn, you become mentally tougher. You acquire the frameworks for effective problem-solving, methods for managing debilitating stress, strategies for decisive action, and techniques for maintaining laser focus when everyone else quits. This profound confidence does not originate from empty talk. It originates exclusively from knowing. Your manner of speaking undergoes a noticeable change. As you educate yourself daily, your vocabulary expands, your thought process becomes sharper, and you articulate superior, more impactful ideas. You evolve into the indispensable person in any room, the one people actively seek to hear because you consistently deliver genuine value. You are not loud. You are intellectually sharp. People do not respect mere noise. They respect absolute clarity. And clarity is a direct byproduct of daily, intentional education. You begin making far smarter decisions. Imagine a scenario. Two individuals confront the identical complex problem. One has extensively studied the topic, read foundational texts, and internalized effective strategies. The other simply relies on guesswork. The winner will always be the educated one. Life itself is a vast game defined by the quality of your decisions, and the breadth of your knowledge dictates how expertly you play that game. You naturally begin to attract better opportunities. Professionals are eager to collaborate with intellectually sharp individuals. People are predisposed to help those who demonstrate seriousness and dedication. Crowds follow leaders who exhibit clear, strategic thinking. Daily education furnishes you with this magnetic power. It differentiates you dramatically, making you inherently valuable. Because while others are preoccupied with trivial gossip, you are focused on profound growth. Crucially, you feel entirely in control. Consistent learning grants you mastery over your time management, mental discipline, energy allocation, emotional responses, and, ultimately, your future. This is because you cease merely reacting to external events. You proactively build your own life. You are no longer waiting passively for assistance. You are empowering yourself. And that fundamental sense of command, power, and earned respect originates from a single source: educating yourself daily. The world is oversaturated with noise. What it desperately requires are individuals who think clearly, who possess the capacity to build, who can effectively lead, and who remain mentally strong. This caliber of individual is forged by what you choose to learn every single day. Understand this. 1 hour of focused education is exponentially more potent than 10 hours of blind, directionless hard work. If you initiate this practice today, within 1 year, you will be unrecognizable to your former self. Section 1. Financial Education. Mastering the arts of earning, preserving, and multiplying capital. Let us begin by addressing the most agonizing truth that the majority of people refuse to confront. You can be deeply kind, perfectly honest, and an outstanding human being, but if you lack a fundamental comprehension of finance, the world will nevertheless treat your efforts as irrelevant. Allow that sentence to truly sink in. In the traditional school system, you were taught complex algebra, yet they neglected to instruct you on basic tax obligations. You were forced to memorize obscure historical dates, but were never trained in crucial real-world skills like investing, negotiating, or safeguarding your capital. This glaring omission is precisely why individuals labor diligently their entire lives, only to perpetually feel broke, financially anxious, and trapped. Allow me to offer a simple, immutable rule that has the power to permanently alter your life. If you fail to study and understand money, you are guaranteed to always be employed by someone who took the time to do so. That is the raw, difficult truth. It is painful to hear, but accepting it is the only way to save yourself. So, what exactly constitutes genuine financial education? It means internalizing the dynamics of capital, learning precisely how money flows, accumulates, and moves throughout the economy. This includes understanding how to earn money through diverse streams: a job, a high-value skill, entrepreneurial ventures, strategic investments, how to keep your money secure, saving, strategic planning, meticulous budgeting, and, crucially, how to grow it, investing wisely, multiplying assets, and scaling income sources. Now pay very close attention. The objective here is not necessarily to become a billionaire. The goal is something infinitely more powerful: achieving genuine freedom. Freedom from crushing fear, freedom from debilitating dependence, and freedom from the indignity of begging for stability. Because when you achieve mastery over money, you eliminate panic. Instead, you strategically plan, you consciously build, and you inevitably rise above scarcity. Consider two individuals earning identical salaries. Person A habitually spends their money every weekend on unnecessary liabilities. They never dedicate time to investment education and never read a single book on finance. They simply work hard and operate on hope. Person B, however, commits to reading about finance for just 20 minutes every day. They learn proactive investment strategies, debt avoidance tactics, and methods for generating supplementary income. Within 5 years, Person B is not merely surviving, they are financially free. Same starting income, radically different futures. The key difference? One chose continuous education. The other chose fleeting entertainment. Which path are you currently on? Focus your learning on understanding the profound distinction between the mindset of the wealthy versus the mindset of the poor regarding money. Learn the definition and function of assets, those items that generate income for you even while you sleep. Grasp the difference between temporary high income and sustainable long-term wealth. Master the fundamentals of budgeting and meticulously tracking your capital. Learn actionable steps to launch a profitable small side hustle. Finally, educate yourself on investing for true, enduring freedom. Nobody is coming to rescue you. Furthermore, relying on luck is not a viable financial strategy. You must seize your mind and rigorously train it like a precision weapon. Because in the economy we inhabit, you will either become educated about money and wield power, or you will be perpetually controlled by those who are. 1 hour a day. That is the minimal commitment required. Read, watch, and learn consistently. And I guarantee that within 365 days, your financial reality will be irrevocably transformed. Section 2. Skill Education. Developing capabilities that dramatically increase your market value. I now present the second most pivotal, life-altering truth. You are fundamentally not compensated for the amount of time you clock. You are compensated directly for the amount of value you deliver. And how does one achieve high value? Not by passively waiting, not by futilely begging, and certainly not by constantly blaming the system, but by aggressively developing real, measurable skills that effectively solve genuine problems for the real world. The struggle most people face financially is often not due to laziness, but because they never invested the necessary time to cultivate a skill that the market actively demands. You may be highly motivated and possess an extremely positive attitude, but if you cannot offer a tangible, marketable skill that people are willing to pay for, you are destined for continuous struggle. This is precisely why skill education must become your core daily responsibility. Every morning, you should be asking yourself these critical accountability questions. What concrete action can I take today that I was incapable of doing yesterday? What specific skill can I sharpen that will make me exponentially more useful, more valuable, and more indispensable? Remember this: skills are the new global currency. Visualize this scenario. Two candidates apply for the same major opportunity. The first candidate states, "I have worked tirelessly. I am loyal, and I believe I deserve a chance." The second candidate asserts, "Here is the exact capability I possess, what I can build, design, edit, solve, or sell specifically for your organization." Who is selected? Always the one who delivers the skill. Not the emotional appeal, not the wishful thinking, the demonstrable skill. These are essential, high-demand skills you can immediately start learning, often for free, via YouTube, specialized books, or online mentors. Copywriting, the ability to craft words that sell products and ideas. Video editing, a crucial service for YouTubers, corporations, and content creators globally. Sales, arguably the most powerful transferable skill in both business and personal life. Public speaking, the capacity to communicate persuasively, earning trust and followership. Digital marketing, mastering ads, email strategy, sales funnels, and SEO. Freelancing, successfully acquiring clients and offering in-demand services. Graphic design, creating compelling branding, advertisements, and digital content. Web development, the process of building high-performance websites and landing pages. AI tools, fluency with generative platforms like ChatGPT and Midjourney. Productivity tools, maximizing efficiency across various platforms. Leadership and management, the ability to strategically build and direct high-performing teams rather than just working within them. Start incredibly small. Dedicate 30 minutes daily to focused learning and another 30 minutes to practicing that skill. In a mere 90 days, you will have accumulated knowledge that makes you measurably more valuable than most people in your immediate circle. Most people fail because they demand money without first developing skills. They expect success without commitment to learning. Their mantra is, "I'll start tomorrow," which they repeat every day for years, ensuring they remain permanently stuck. But this pattern ends now. Not you, not anymore. If you find yourself broke, do not lament, learn. If you are deeply confused, do not scroll aimlessly, learn. If you feel utterly lost, do not wait for direction, learn. Commit to daily skill education. This is the fastest, most reliable path out of mere survival mode. When you possess undeniable market value, you become impossible to ignore. Section 3. Mindset education. Cultivating powerful, strategic, and crystal-clear thought patterns. Let's face reality. Some people consistently work grueling 14-hour days and yet remain perpetually stagnant. Meanwhile, others manage to work 4 focused hours and achieve faster, more substantial growth. Why this radical difference? It all boils down to one invisible yet all-powerful component: their operating mindset. Your mindset is literally the architecture of your thought process. It serves as your personal mental operating system, the filter through which you interpret every event in the world. Consider two individuals encountering the identical major setback. One asks, "Why does this always happen to me?" The other immediately asks, "What essential lesson is this situation teaching me?" Same unavoidable problem, yet a profoundly different mindset leads to an entirely different future. Why do most people settle for mediocrity? Because they fail to educate themselves on the mechanics of critical thought. They imitate the behaviors of others. They react impulsively based on emotion. They habitually complain. They abandon ship after the slightest failure. They require external motivation every single day because they have never rigorously trained their minds to possess internal strength. This is why incorporating mindset education into your routine is non-negotiable. Picture your mind as a constant internal battlefield, where every day you are ambushed by doubt, paralyzing fear, corrosive laziness, chronic distraction, anxiety, destructive comparison, guilt, and lingering regret. Now, honestly ask yourself, have you actively trained your mind to effectively wage and win these relentless internal battles? If the answer is no, these destructive forces will conquer you every single time. This lack of training explains why discipline collapses. It explains why people perpetually defer action, saying, "I'll start tomorrow" daily for years. And it explains why they feel an underlying sense of unease. Even when their external life appears fine, their central command system is entirely untrained. You can be handed the most incredible opportunities the world has to offer. Yet if you operate with a fragile mindset, you will inevitably sabotage every single one. Here is how to incorporate daily learning for mindset growth. Focus on learning how to control your runaway thoughts, how to forge deep mental resilience and strength, how to achieve sharp focus in a hyper-distracted modern world, how to cultivate long-term strategic thinking, overriding emotional impulse, how to design habits that fundamentally reshape your identity, how to cease comparison, stop destructive overthinking, and overcome the fear of failure, and, crucially, how to maintain stillness and calm amidst chaos. Implement these daily tactics. Read 10 pages from foundational mindset books, such as The Mountain Is You, Atomic Habits, or Can't Hurt Me. Watch one piece of video content daily focused on mental fortitude by experts like David Goggins, Jocko Willink, or content focusing on the Navy SEAL mindset. Commit to journaling your thoughts. Ask yourself, what is the dominant thought I am entertaining today? Is this thought serving me or actively sabotaging me? Also, deliberately observe powerful figures not focusing on their words but analyzing how they process and think under immense pressure. Remember, life is not defined by what happens to you. It is defined by your chosen response to what happens. That is the definition of mindset. The wrong, uneducated mindset guarantees that you will remain poor, envious, excessively reactive, lazy, and perpetually lost. The correct, trained mindset transforms you into a warrior, capable of dominance even in complete silence. This inner strength does not magically materialize from fleeting YouTube motivation. It is forged through daily education, rigorous daily reflection, and intentional daily sharpening. Train your body so you look formidable. Then, train your mind daily, and you will achieve unstoppable momentum. Section 4. Emotional Education. Gaining absolute mastery over your inner self. In our increasingly chaotic modern world, I must share a harsh, undeniable reality. Most individuals lose everything: their careers, their fortunes, their stability, not due to a deficit of talent, but because they completely failed to learn how to manage their turbulent emotions. They routinely destroy critical relationships. They impulsively abandon promising jobs. They execute financially devastating decisions. They express irrational anger at inappropriate moments. They chase shallow external validation. They remain paralyzed by emotional pain for years. All of this failure traces back to one root cause. They never formally studied themselves. And the true tragedy is that they accept this emotional chaos as normal. They rationalize, "I'm just an emotional person," or "I can't control how I feel," believing, "That's just who I am." No, that is not your inherent nature. That is simply the way you have been conditioned and trained to behave. The good news is that you now have the agency to meticulously retrain yourself. What exactly constitutes emotional education? It is the dedicated daily practice of learning how to remain poised and calm when those around you are spiraling into chaos. It means mastering techniques to process your feelings internally instead of erupting externally. It means learning how to neutralize the fear that attempts to halt your progress and how to prevent sadness from utterly destroying your initiative. It is the focused effort to build high emotional intelligence and break free from the control of old, unhealed psychological wounds. This is not soft or abstract material. This is fundamental life architecture. Because if you do not actively control your emotions, rest assured, your emotions will entirely control your life and outcomes. Imagine dedicating immense effort to a project, only to receive harsh criticism. If you lack emotional education, your reaction is destructive. You break down, you lash out defensively, you wildly overreact, you prematurely quit, and you spend weeks doubting your worth. But if you are emotionally disciplined, your reaction is measured. You pause and breathe. You reflect on the feedback. You extract the lesson and grow. You confidently move forward. Same initiating situation, but a fundamentally different reaction leads to an exponentially different future. Focus your learning on identifying your emotional triggers, what sets you off, and understanding the root cause. Recognizing the childhood patterns that subconsciously dictate your adult behavior. Confronting the fear of rejection, shame, and guilt. Mastering overthinking, cultivating emotional independence, and consistently choosing a thoughtful response over an impulsive reaction. Practical exercises include journaling immediately after you feel upset, asking, "What specific emotion is this? Where does this feeling truly originate?" Watch one video daily dedicated to emotional mastery techniques. Rigorously practice the pause, the mandatory beat of silence before speaking when you feel triggered. Study concepts related to professional therapy, deep healing, and unshakable self-respect. Finally, reflect daily. Am I currently acting from a position of past pain or from a position of present power? Most individuals are, tragically, slaves to their unpredictable feelings. But emotional education grants you radical freedom. When you acquire the knowledge to handle anger, sadness, jealousy, and fear, you immediately stop making rash emotional decisions. You begin making calculated, wise decisions. And those calculated decisions are what ultimately shape your destiny. They focus entirely on their personal desires, what they want to execute, but they never pause to learn the objective reality. What is the market currently demanding? What specific struggles are individuals facing? What complex problems are established businesses urgently attempting to solve? What services are people demonstrating a willingness to pay a premium for? The truth is unwavering. If you consciously ignore the dynamics of the market will, in turn, ignore you completely. You can possess immense talent and an admirable work ethic. Yet, if you insist on offering a product or service that nobody desires, you are guaranteed to remain broke. Why do so many hardworking people fail to achieve financial stability? Because they neglect to study the market shifts. They persist in performing tasks the way they have always been done, even as the world fundamentally transforms. And the world has transformed. Consumer behavior has migrated almost entirely online. Businesses require sophisticated digital solutions. Work is increasingly remote. Artificial intelligence is rapidly absorbing mundane tasks. Content creators are erecting multi-million-dollar brands directly from their phones. Consequently, if you fail to closely monitor the market's direction, you are guaranteed to fall behind, regardless of how intensely you work. Consider the story of a man who successfully repaired old televisions for 2 decades. It was once a lucrative business. But today, consumers rarely repair TVs. They simply purchase replacements. He remained anchored in his shop, patiently waiting for a customer base that would never return. He staunchly refused to study the shifting market, declaring, "This is what I know, and this is what I do." But the market is indifferent. Slowly, he lost everything. The potent lesson is clear. The market does not care about your personal comfort zone. The market ruthlessly rewards those who successfully adapt. What specific subjects should you educate yourself about daily concerning the market? Research. What specific products or services are commanding high prices right now? Which industries are experiencing exponential growth? For example, artificial intelligence, digital health, specialized content creation, coaching services, e-commerce. What persistent problems are people discussing across online platforms? Which roles are in highest demand on major freelancing sites? What new digital tools are rendering existing jobs faster, more efficient, or significantly cheaper? Actively analyze the trending services listed on platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, and LinkedIn. Read forums like Reddit and Quora, focusing on where people complain because problems fundamentally equal opportunities. Observe what successful YouTubers are actively selling: courses, consulting, physical products. Study the characteristics of content that achieves viral reach. Subscribe to business newsletters and startup news digests to track real innovation. You could possess the greatest singing voice in the world, but if the market has stopped hiring singers, you must adapt your delivery mechanism. You may adore fixing obsolete typewriters, but if the world has moved on, you are obligated to move with it. Here is the encouraging news. You do not need to fundamentally change who you are as a person. You simply need to align your innate value and skills with the current demands of the market. Therefore, cease shouting your outdated offerings into a dead room. Start listening intently, start observing trends, and start adapting quickly. Study the market every single day, because those who diligently study the market are the ones who are profoundly rewarded by it. Section 6. Digital Education. Mastering the essential tools of the future before those tools render you obsolete. Let us face a final, brutally honest truth. We are no longer living in the information age. We have rapidly transitioned into the automation age. If you are not actively learning how to proficiently utilize modern digital tools, platforms, and automated systems, then your job function will very soon be replaced. You will be strategically ignored. You will be permanently left behind. Being dismissive or inept regarding technology is no longer merely a quirk. It is an existential danger. Virtually every successful business operation is moving online. Every major content creator leverages AI. Every efficient freelancer implements automation. Every industry is accelerating. Even fields traditionally considered stable, like medicine, law, teaching, and entertainment. Consequently, the individual who proudly declares, "I'm just not a tech person," is the same individual who will soon be forced to state, "I apologize, but my services are no longer needed." Take, for example, the woman who ran a beauty salon successfully for 15 years. Excellent service, loyal clientele, prime location. But during the lockdown, physical business ceased. Customers disappeared, but bills continued to arrive. She did not know how to construct a simple website, how to integrate online booking systems, or even how to correctly post engaging content on Instagram. She maintained, "I am an old-school operator." But the commercial world bypassed her. Meanwhile, a younger competitor launched a YouTube channel, consistently posted high-value hair tutorials, captured all her bookings online, and doubled her income without ever needing a physical location. The first woman possessed superior raw talent, but the second woman possessed superior digital education. That delta is the critical difference between stagnation and scalable success. What specific areas should you prioritize for daily digital education? Learn to proficiently use essential modern tools like Canva, ChatGPT, Notion, Google Drive, and Zoom. Understand how to establish a basic digital presence, a professional LinkedIn profile, a functional Instagram account, or a simple informational website. Master the utilization of AI tools to radically boost your productivity in writing, design, research, and learning. Learn the mechanics of recording a quality video, uploading a short-form reel, and designing an engaging thumbnail. Understand the infrastructure of online systems, e-commerce, sales funnels, and comprehensive digital sales processes. Learn how to identify and automate your most repetitive tasks. Become adept at high-level online collaboration. Spend 30 minutes every day specifically to learning one new digital tool. Watch free, detailed tutorials on YouTube focusing on AI applications, new software, or platforms. Practice what you learn by immediately creating a tangible output. Launch a simple blog, design a digital poster, or build a basic informational website. Critically, find ways to apply these new digital tools directly to your current job or business operations. Every single small step builds momentum. Build your technological confidence methodically, one day at a time. The future is not reserved for the physically strong or the most classically educated. It belongs decisively to the digitally intelligent. You are not required to become a professional programmer or an engineering genius, but you are fundamentally required to become an individual who deeply understands how the new commercial world operates. The marketplace is migrating entirely online, and you must migrate with it or be inevitably replaced by those who did. Therefore, rigorously ask yourself, what new, practical digital tool did I master today? How have I made myself measurably more future-ready than I was yesterday? If your honest answer is nothing, then start immediately, right now, today. Because in this rapidly accelerating digital ecosystem, daily digital education is not a luxury option. It is your protective shield, your powerful weapon, and the absolute determinant of your future viability. Section 7. Self-awareness education. Committing to learning who you fundamentally are. Let us start with the profoundest truth, a truth that neither school, nor your parents, nor any employer ever explicitly taught you. You will never achieve ultimate victory in life if you do not truly know yourself. Most people can readily state their blood type, their preferred meal, their phone lock code, and their social media credentials. Yet, they remain utterly oblivious to what specifically triggers their disproportionate anger, why they compulsively sabotage their own progress, the root cause of their deepest insecurities, which types of personalities shatter their peace, or what they genuinely desire from existence. This lack of introspection is why the majority live as passive passengers rather than active drivers of their lives. They allow external forces to dictate their educational path, their careers, their life partners, their beliefs, and even their right to happiness. Their existence is built entirely on fulfilling external expectations, never on genuine self-awareness. Picture a man who engaged in perpetual job hopping, transitioning between 6 different companies within 3 years. Each time, he externalized the blame. The team was incompetent. The boss was unfair. The environment was toxic. But one day, he paused his cycle of movement. He bravely asked himself, what if the fundamental problem is actually something originating inside me? He initiated a rigorous practice of journaling, reflecting honestly on his reactions, his destructive behavioral patterns, and his core fears. The profound realization was that his anger wasn't directed at his workplace. It was directed at himself, because he had never granted himself the permission to pursue his deepest dreams. That single question, what if the problem is me, catalyzed an irreversible change. He didn't need a new job. This individual needed a radical shift in perspective, a profound new level of self-awareness. The daily curriculum for this personal education should focus on deep introspection. What internal mechanics drive my daily behavior? Why do I react the way I do in specific situations? Identifying my deepest fear and tracing its origin is crucial. What self-sabotaging patterns recur in my dealings with relationships, finances, and career? What essential part of myself am I actively suppressing, ignoring, or pretending simply doesn't exist? Furthermore, discerning between activities that provide genuine, sustainable energy and those that systematically deplete me is key. Take a moment to articulate your present emotional state. Write one deeply honest paragraph detailing exactly how you felt today and the underlying reasons. Challenge that feeling immediately. Ask, was that an authentic expression of who I am? Or merely a reaction from a fearful, guarded version of myself? Consume content focused on genuine self-discovery, the healing of emotional wounds, and understanding entrenched childhood patterns. Become a dedicated student of human behavior, seeking out transformative literature such as The Untethered Soul or The Courage to be Disliked. Dedicate just 5 minutes to complete silence and pose this single penetrating question: what fundamental truth am I currently running from? Escaping any confinement is impossible if you remain unaware that you are imprisoned. Tragically, the majority of people are trapped within the confines of their own minds and limiting beliefs. They expend all their effort attempting to fix external circumstances, oblivious to the fact that the genuine, defining war is raging internally. Unless you commit to the education of self-understanding your motivations, flaws, and strengths, you will perpetually engage in futile external battles, select incompatible partners, agree to commitments you should refuse, and ultimately squander precious years pursuing paths that appear virtuous but feel deeply hollow. The most potent education available is not knowledge about the external world. It is the comprehensive knowledge of yourself. Because the moment you truly know who you are, the relentless, exhausting pursuit of everything you are not immediately ceases. Section 8. Street Education. This pillar is about mastering the functional realities of the world we live in. We must confront the most difficult and potentially hazardous truth. Formal education teaches you the rules of society, but only the unfiltered experiences of the streets. The real world can teach you how to play the game. You may possess advanced degrees and high intellectual capacity, yet if you lack understanding of how real people operate, their subtle motives, and their strategies, you will inevitably be betrayed, exploited, deceived, manipulated, and caught completely off guard. The world outside the campus is not a benign classroom. It is, regrettably, a chaotic battlefield. Here are the core lessons formal schooling always omitted. People are deceptive. People engage in elaborate power games. People speak with double meanings, often saying one thing while intending another. People offer simulated care and allegiance only until you cease to serve their utility. Recognize this not as cynicism or negativity, but as essential, high-level survival intelligence. Consider the classic example of a young man starting his first professional job. He dedicated himself completely, placed his trust universally, and shared his innovative ideas without reservation, genuinely believing the office environment was a supportive family unit. Within half a year, his intellectual property was stolen, his rightful credit was seized, and the person he considered his best friend leveraged him for a promotion. This young man suffered a profound emotional collapse. It wasn't a sign of inherent weakness. It was a devastating lesson in his lack of education regarding the unspoken street rules governing power dynamics, social status, and the boundaries of professional trust. Following this painful initiation, he consciously shed his naivety. He began studying people's behavior intently. He limited access to his inner circle and his ideas. He intentionally cultivated the ability to move through the world with astuteness and shrewdness, rather than just basic kindness. That disciplined, newly formed version of himself became psychologically and professionally unshakable. What specific skills should you master daily? How to accurately gauge people's core intentions, moving beyond the superficiality of their stated words. How to spot manipulation, emotional guilt-tripping, and insincere flattery. How to negotiate, maintaining complete emotional detachment. How to build boundaries, delivering them with confidence and charm, not driven by anxiety or defensiveness. How to sense immediately when a situation or interaction feels off. How to say no definitively, without feeling obligated to offer elaborate excuses or explanations. How to trust slowly, observe deeply, and move silently until all facts are confirmed. Supplement this practice by reading seminal texts such as The 48 Laws of Power, The Art of War, and No More Mr. Nice Guy. Seek out and analyze real-world interviews with master negotiators, former convicts who understand survival dynamics, and seasoned business sharks. Devote time to studying the nuances of body language, recognizing that non-verbal communication and silence often convey far more significant meaning than spoken words. Regularly reflect on your recent interactions and ask, what vital dynamic or sign did I overlook today? Study the mechanics of betrayal not to develop cynicism or bitterness, but solely to achieve profound wisdom. If your education consists solely of academic books, you will merely acquire the vocabulary to sound smart. However, when you integrate that theoretical knowledge with robust street education, you transform into a truly powerful force. The world fundamentally respects individuals who possess an authentic comprehension of how things operate beneath the surface. Therefore, don't limit yourself to being kind. Be keenly aware. Don't simply offer loyalty. Operate intelligently. Stop accepting words at face value. Commit to studying observable behavioral patterns. This world is saturated with individuals playing roles a multitude of actors. If you fail to grasp the underlying script, you are destined to keep playing the role of the predictable fool in a drama authored by someone else. Street education is indispensable, protective daily armor. Don this awareness and never allow yourself to remove it. Section 9. Foundation Education. This covers the essential human skills, schools consistently overlooked, yet which life rigorously demands. We must be forthright. While formal education equipped you with vast amounts of information teaching you to memorize definitions, execute orders, compose essays, and often instilling a fear of failure, it failed entirely to provide the fundamental operating instructions for life. It never instructed you on how to maintain composure under severe pressure, how to construct resilient habits that safeguard your long-term future, how to effectively manage your time, emotional state, and physical energy, or how to consistently make high-impact, powerful decisions. Crucially, you were never taught how to process profound loss, devastating failure, painful betrayal, or crippling heartbreak, the skills required to be a strong, self-disciplined human being. Now you navigate a world that relentlessly requires all these capacities, yet you entered it entirely unprepared. This is precisely why foundation education is now your exclusive, necessary responsibility. The time has come to train yourself for the marathon of life, not merely for the sprint toward the next examination. Take, for instance, the student who achieved flawless academic records, straight A's, top of his cohort, unfailingly obedient and polite. He was universally hailed as gifted, the proverbial golden child. But the instant genuine adversity struck a devastating first breakup, unexpected professional rejection, the sudden reality of financial hardship, or the simple pain of being deeply misunderstood, he collapsed entirely. He crumbled not because he was flawed, but because he had never been trained to process significant pain, nor had he learned the complex mechanics of self-reconstruction. He lacked the capacity to think critically and independently, to execute actions effectively under duress, or to confidently stand alone against prevailing sentiment. All the diplomas and exemplary grades in the world proved utterly useless in protecting him from his own internal fragility. He didn't require more intellectual formulas. He desperately needed foundation education, the kind of internal mastery that grants enduring, silent power. What foundational skills must you integrate into your daily life? How to manage your time with laser clarity, strictly adhering to priorities. How to say no without succumbing to unnecessary guilt. How to tolerate failure, allowing the setback to inform you without allowing it to destroy your self-identity. How to delay gratification. Discipline equals freedom. How to take total, unwavering responsibility for every aspect of your life. How to choose your associates and friends wisely. How to build robust systems for monitoring and directing your habits, thoughts, and strategic goals. How to maintain an unwavering calmness when chaos and volatility grip the world around you. Critically reflect on your most regrettable past decisions and meticulously trace the thought processes that led you to them. Implement a disciplined habit tracker and adhere to its demands with religious dedication. Commit to learning one new rule, strategy, or insight related to self-discipline, stoicism, or focused execution every single day. Actively seek out and practice deliberately challenging things, not for the sake of suffering, but for the necessary expansion of your personal capacity. Recommended reading includes The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Can't Hurt Me, and The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Caring. Full summaries of these essential texts are available in our curated book summary playlists after this broadcast. School provided you with temporary facts. Life demands permanent inner strength. If you neglect the training of your internal foundation, you risk achieving massive success only to have the internal pressures cause you to inevitably collapse under its weight. Understand this crucial truth. Financial wealth cannot insulate you from deep anxiety. A massive following on social media will not protect you from paralyzing self-doubt. Academic degrees offer no defense against personal emotional chaos. What will save you is a robust internal foundation, the kind of structure that will unflinchingly carry you through devastating storms that overwhelm the majority of people. Therefore, initiate the construction of your internal strength immediately, cultivating it every single day. If you fail to do this, the world will inevitably fracture you, and it will do so without a trace of remorse. Section 10. Problems Education. This discipline focuses on cultivating the mindset of a builder, effectively eradicating the tendency to be a mere complainer. We now address what is arguably one of the most chronically underrated forms of power in existence: the capacity to solve complex problems. Let me share a definitive realization. Your entire future trajectory hinges on the mastery of a single skill. Can you consistently remain calm, maintain crystal clear thinking, and efficiently locate viable solutions when operating under intense pressure? That is the essence of success. If you lack this core competency, you will remain perpetually reliant on others, prone to panic, freezing in place, and simply waiting for the inevitable consequences, while life delivers repeated, unnecessary setbacks. Conversely, if you transform into a disciplined, proactive problem solver, you will automatically command respect, become indispensable, and render yourself essentially unstoppable. This vital skill is fundamentally unrelated to innate intelligence. It is purely a function of rigorous training. It necessitates a daily education dedicated to methodical thinking, flexible adaptation, simplification of complexity, and rapid execution. Consider the distinct responses of 2 individuals during the recent global pandemic. One person declared, "This situation is deeply unfair. It's too difficult. I surrender." The other immediately shifted to a solution-oriented mindset. What productive work can I achieve from home? Which groups or individuals require assistance? How can I pivot my skills to serve a new market need? The first individual remained financially stagnant or became poorer. The second swiftly established a successful freelance operation, mastered online sales strategies, and ultimately doubled their income. They shared the identical world and faced the same crisis, yet one was habitually trained to solve, while the other was conditioned to complain. The crucial question is, which operating identity are you actively developing? What specific skills should you master within this area daily? How to define a problem clearly, a task most people fail at. How to systematically dissect overwhelming problems into small, manageable actions. How to completely strip emotion from the decision-making process. How to think like a builder, rejecting the passive narrative of the victim. How to meticulously reverse engineer an ambitious goal into its component starting requirements. How to plan effectively while under duress. How to use logic combined with courage, instead of fear coupled with comfort. Make it a daily ritual to resolve one minor frustration immediately, rather than allowing it to fester or ignoring it. Read detailed case studies analyzing individuals who successfully created significant ventures starting from absolute zero. Dedicate time to understanding the specialized thought processes of engineers, designers, and visionary leaders. Deeply study foundational mental models, including first principles thinking, second-order thinking, and the essential 80/20 rule, Pareto principle. Institute daily journaling where you reflect, what specific problem did I encounter today? What is one definitive way I could have approached or solved it more effectively? The majority of people are content merely describing problems. True winners relentlessly solve them. The world is oversaturated with noise. What it desperately requires are individuals who maintain absolute composure when everyone else is in a state of panic. People who think quickly and act decisively. The encouraging news is that this doesn't require a genius-level intellect. It requires only the consistent, daily practice of solving, building, and adapting until those actions become an intrinsic part of your identity. Ultimately, the complainer remains perpetually trapped and stuck. The problem solver is the one who secures the promotion. The problem solver establishes new companies. The problem solver emerges as the natural leader, and that effective leader could unequivocally be you, provided you commit to educating yourself daily. Most individuals unwittingly squander their lives, not due to inherent weakness or low intelligence, but because they failed to establish the foundational habit of daily self-education. They waited for formal schooling to deliver the answers. They waited passively for fleeting motivation. They waited for an external authority figure to teach them the way. The undeniable truth is that salvation is not coming from outside sources. You must recognize that you are the teacher. You are the devoted student. You are the entire university. And if you are not actively engaging in daily growth, you are, by definition, slowly decaying. So, make a critical choice now. Will you passively scroll through content, or will you actively study? Will you merely talk about change, or will you truly transform? Will you watch others achieve success, or will you commit to growing yourself? This world needs less chatter and more action. It requires dedicated individuals like you, people who rise up, who lead by example, who commit to learning, and who absolutely never stop. Remember this principle. Dedicating just 1 hour a day to targeted education can yield more personal power than 10 years spent struggling blindly. Begin today. Start right now. Start with just one focused page, one informative video, or one concentrated moment. Your future self is observing. Do not fail it. If this guidance proved valuable to you, ensure you subscribe, like this content, and share it immediately with anyone who desperately needs to hear this transformative message today. Additionally, activate the notification bell icon so you never miss the release of the next life-changing video published on this channel.